So hello and good morning to everyone. Welcome to FICON classes. Let's hit the concept. So in the previous lecture, we have discussed about significant figures, and in the previous lecture itself, I gave you some of the problems to solve. So in this particular lecture, we will be solving those problems first, and then we will move on to the next topic, that is dimensions. In dimensions, we will discuss about what is dimension, how it is defined, and then we will try to find out the dimension of some of the special or important physical quantities. Fine. So let us see this problem and let us solve it. So a vernier caliper has 1 mm mark on the main scale. Fine. And it has 20 equal divisions on the vernier scale. On vernier scale, so in vernier caliper, there are two scales. One is called as main scale and the other one is called as vernier scale. So this main scale, the graduations on main scale is same as meter scale. Our normal meter scale, these graduations on main scale will be exactly same as normal meter scale. That means the gap between two these lines will be 1 mm. That's it. So main scale is just like our simple scale, but there is one vernier scale which is having different property here. Here the graduations will not be equal to 1 mm, but it will be something else. Now it is depending on the construction of vernier caliper. To find out the least count of vernier caliper, we need to find out what is the main scale division, what is the vernier scale number. Fine. Now here let us just discuss. So it has 20 equal divisions on the vernier scale. It has 20 equal divisions on vernier scale. So the number of divisions on vernier scale is 20. Number of divisions on vernier scale is 20, and these 20 vernier scale divisions are going to coincide with 16 main scale divisions. That means here total 16 divisions will be there from this point to this point. There will be 16 divisions on main scale, and these 16 divisions will coincide with 20 divisions on vernier scale. Fine. So what is the difference? Difference is of 4. Difference is of 4, and this 4 is actually what is the difference means 20 minus 16, that is 4, and each graduation on main scale equals 1 mm. That is the difference, we can write it as 4 mm. Fine. Now this 4 mm on main scale is being divided into 20 mm on vernier scale. Understand? 4 mm on main scale is being divided into 20 graduations on vernier scale, and hence the least count of this instrument will be 4 divided by 20 mm. That is 1 by 5 mm. That will be equals to 0.2 mm. So the answer here will be answer number D. So again I am saying that we need to know the concepts of vernier caliper. I will come up with another video that will be it will be only for vernier caliper and screw gauges, but for now you just try to cope up with it. Okay, now let's come to the second problem. So the problem is again for significant figures. So here the question says multiply 107.88 by 0.610 and express the result up to the correct number of significant figures. Now in any kind of calculation, multiplication, addition or anything, the number of significant figure that the final answer will have will be equal to the minimum significant number in the given data. Okay, so here in the given data we have two data. Number of significant figure for the first data is 107.88. Significant figure will be 5. Here 0.610. This 0, is it countable? Yeah, this is countable. Why? Because it is right hand side of the non-zero digit, and this 0, this is not countable because it is on the left hand side. So the number of significant figure here will be 3. So the final answer must have 3 significant figures only. Understand? Why? Because the minimum significant figure has to be taken in the final answer. That means even if we are getting more number of significant figures, then we will have to round it off to 3 significant figures. That will be our final and correct answer. Understand? Now do the calculation part. 107.88 multiplied with 0.610. So I'll do it by my own idea. Okay, so 107.88 cross 6, 8, then 4, then 2, then 5, 7, then again 4, and 6. Fine. On adding, this will be 6, then 0, 8, 5, 6, and this extra 0 that I have not taken here, this we will add the number of digits 3 and 2, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 65.8068. So now we have to round it off up to 3 digits. Up to 3 digits we have to round it off. This number has to be rounded off. Okay. So the next digit after 8 is what? 0. And this 0 is less than 5. That means the number which has to be eliminated is less than 5, and hence we need not to increase the preceding digit, that is 8. So the final answer will be 65.8. That is the correct answer. Understand? Okay. Coming to the third problem. So again same from significant figure. Okay. Now in an experiment, 4 quantities A, B, C and D are measured with percentage error 1%, 2%, 3% and 4% respectively for A, B, C and D. The quantity P is calculated as per the given formula. Now if I want to calculate the error propagated in P, then the equation should be like delta P by T will be equals to, now all other data given here A, B, C, D all are measured data and all are having some kind of error. That will be all these things are going to propagate error in the P, right? So how to write the equation? Just think, just remember, can you recall just this thing? Okay, so the power multiplied with relative error, and then again addition of power multiplied with relative error, like that. So 2 multiplied with relative error of A, that is delta A by A, plus for B power is 3 multiplied with delta B by B, plus for C what is the power? 1, hence delta C by D directly, C by C directly, plus for D what is the power? Half is the power, correct? So 1 by 2 multiplied with delta D by D. Now just put the values and you will get the answer. So this is the relative error term. If I am writing the percentage error here, then this total equation will be converted into percentage. So 2 multiplied with delta A by A is 1%. If I am taking directly, I am writing in terms of percentage. Okay. So the final answer will be in percentage only. So 3 multiplied with delta B by B is 2, plus delta C by C is 3, plus 1 by 2 times of delta D by D is 4. And hence this answer will be 2 plus 6 plus 3 plus 2, that is 5 plus 6 plus 2 is 13%. Okay, so the correct answer will be C. Okay, now coming to dimension, the new topic here. So what are dimensions here? So before starting with dimension, let me just tell you about physical quantities. So what are physical quantities? Physical quantities are those quantities that can be measured and it can be written in terms of some numbers along with some units, like your weight, mass, length, time, temperature, density. These things are the quantities that can be written in terms of a number along with a unit. So those are physical quantities. This can be measured, right? But the physical quantities, they are divided into 2, fundamental and derived quantities, right? Now, what is the need of getting a dimension here? So actually, dimensions are the notations or representation, symbolic notations given for 7 fundamental quantities. For total 7 fundamental quantities we have. So out of these 7 fundamental quantities, we are giving all the 7 fundamental quantities, we are giving some notation. And those notations are called as dimensions. Understand? So here dimension does not mean x, y and z axis, 3 directions, 3D, 4D, 5D. That dimension is different. Here the dimension represents the fundamental quantity. Like we have mass. Mass is a fundamental quantity. Mass cannot be written in terms of any other physical quantity. Length is a fundamental quantity. Length can never be written in terms of any other fundamental or derived quantity. Understand? So the quantities that are very basic and cannot be written in terms of other physical quantities are called as fundamental quantities, and these fundamental quantities are given some notations, and these notations are called as dimensions. Understand? So all the physical quantities, either they are fundamental or derived, they are described by their dimensions. Understand? Now the second line, I'll just read it. Derived quantities can be represented in terms of some fundamental or base quantities. Right? Because we are going to give dimensions to only to the fundamental quantities. That means, and all other quantities are just combination of fundamental quantities. Right? Physical quantities can be derived or fundamental. Fundamental quantities are the base. Other quantities will be the combination of fundamental quantities. If we assign some notation to fundamental quantities, then for derived quantities, we can get the dimension by using the fundamental dimensional representation. Understand? So for fundamental quantities, what are the dimension, what are its representation? I'm just going to write down here. So what are the fundamental quantities? Just recall: mass, then length, time, temperature, luminous intensity, amount of substance, and the last one is electric current. Now these fundamental quantities are represented in terms of dimension, as mass is represented as capital M inside square bracket. Always dimensions are represented or written inside this square brackets. Okay. Length is written as L under square bracket. Time T under square bracket. Temperature. Now again, temperature and time both are starting with T. Now in this case, if I am writing T for temperature, then we will get confused. But the dimension or the unit for temperature is Kelvin. You remember? So K is used as the dimensional notation for temperature. And in some of the books, you will find theta. Now for luminous intensity, what is the unit of luminous intensity? CD candela. Right. So CD inside the bracket. Then amount of substance, MOL. Do you remember? MOL, the unit. Electric current. Current, what is the unit for current? Ampere. So capital A inside bracket. These are the dimensions, and you need to remember all these dimensions. Now let us move forward and try to find out dimension for some important physical quantities. Okay. So I have written here some of the important physical quantities, and that we are going to find out the dimension for those physical quantities. Okay. And these quantities are going to be coming, or we will be discussing these topics number of times in our study in further lectures, in further chapters also. So distance. What is distance? What is the fundamental unit for distance? Length, right? Length is the fundamental unit, and hence the dimension will be capital L. Understand? Now velocity. How do we define velocity? Velocity is equals to displacement divided by time, or speed is equals to distance divided by time. For distance, what is the dimension? capital L. For time, what is the dimension? Capital T. Now, if you see, this L is having the power 1 and T is having power -1, LT -1. So we can write the dimension of speed as LT -1. For acceleration, how do we define acceleration? Acceleration is rate of change of velocity. Rate of change of velocity, that means change in velocity divided by change in time. So change in velocity and velocity both will have same dimension, and the velocity dimension we have already calculated, LT -1. What is the dimension for time? T, and hence the dimension for acceleration will be LT -2. Understand? This T will come in the numerator with the minus 1. So -1 plus -1 -2. Now force. Now look at here. Force is really important. If you remember the dimension of force, then for other quantities, other important quantities in physics, you can easily find out the dimension of other quantities. But force, you will have to remember it later. Right now we are going to find it out, and then at the end you have to remember the dimension for force. Clear? Now force is defined as mass into acceleration. Right? What is mass? This one is as per the Newton's second law. So mass dimension is capital M. Dimension of acceleration is LT -2. Hence the dimension of force is MLT -2. So whenever you hear this word force, the dimension should come into your mind MLT -2. Force MLT -2. Understand? Force means MLT -2. As soon as you hear force, just this dimension should come into your picture, into the picture of your mind, inside your mind, MLT -2. It should always be there in your mind. The dimension is MLT -2 and the unit is Newton. Unit is Newton. And 1 Newton is also written as kg meter per second square. This thing also you remember. Kg meter per second square. The unit of force is kg meter per second square or Newton. Dimension is MLT -2. Always remember this formula. Okay. Now coming to work or torque. Torque you have studied in class 10. So I'll just tell you what is torque. Let's suppose there is a link like this, and this link is hinged at this point. This point is A, this point is, let's suppose, B. Now this link is hinged or pin connected at point A, and at point B if we are applying some kind of force which is at a distance of D from the pin, then the moment of force is written as F into perpendicular distance. F into perpendicular distance, and that moment of force is nothing but torque. And why I have written work also here is work is also having the same formula, force into perpendicular distance, and that is why I have written here with torque, because both work and torque are going to have the same unit and same dimension. Now can you tell me what is the dimension for force? Force MLT -2 always. Force means MLT -2. This is the dimension, and then dimension of D. Dimension of D is L, length. This is D is distance, na? D is the distance between A and B, and hence distance is nothing but length. So the dimension for length is capital L. So that will be multiplied with MLT -2. So MLT -2 multiplied with L will be ML square T -2. Understand? So the dimension for torque is ML square T minus. Now coming to power. Power is defined as the rate of work done. It is work done divided by time. So what is the dimension for work? ML square T -2 divided by time is capital T. So the answer will be ML square T -3. That is the dimension for power. Now coming to volume. What is the volume formula? For cube, volume is A cube, where A is one of the side of the cube. Side means one of the length of the side, right? Length into length into length. That means L cube is going to be the dimension of volume. Understand? Now coming to density. Can you tell me what is the formula for density? Density is defined as mass per unit volume, right? What is the dimension for mass? Capital M is the dimension for mass and volume is L cube. Now when you will take L in the numerator part, it will become ml to the power of -3. That is the dimension for density. Let us solve one previous year question that was asked in Maharashtra CET 2014. What is the dimensional formula for Reynolds number? So we have not studied Reynolds number yet. So I will just tell you the formula for Reynolds number. So Reynolds number, this is going to be coming in fluid mechanics chapter. Okay. So Reynolds number is defined as the ratio of viscous force to inertial force. Understand? This Reynolds number is defined as the ratio of viscous force to inertial force. These terms you will understand when you will study fluid mechanics. Inertia you will understand very soon. In mechanics only you will understand what is inertia. Okay. So just look at the numerator and denominator. Both the quantities are force. Different kinds of forces are there, but both the quantities are force. If same quantities are divided, what is the resultant unit? When same quantities are divided, let's suppose if I am dividing length with another length, then unit of length is meter divided by unit of another length is meter. So these two will cancel and the quantity will become unitless, right? The quantity will become unitless. Similarly, force is having a unit of Newton divided by Newton. Newton got cancelled. So this is a unitless quantity. If it is unitless quantity, the Reynolds number dimension will be m to the power 0, L to the power 0, T to the power 0. Understand? So the correct answer will be answer number A. These last two questions I am giving you as the homework part. So just take a screenshot and keep the question with you, and I want you to just answer me in the comment box. Okay, so this is the second question from JEE Main 2013. You have to, for this question I will have to give you some data. Okay, fine. So epsilon naught, you have to find out the dimension of epsilon naught. So for this, I'll just tell you some theory because you have not studied these things. I'll just tell you the theory part. So let's suppose we have two charges, Q1 and Q2. Charges, you know, na, positive and negative charges are there, na? So either it is positive or negative. We don't know about the whether it is positive or negative. We don't know. So Q1 and Q2, we have two charges. Let's suppose both the charges are unlike charges. Unlike charges means if one is positive, the another one will be negative. If one is negative, the another one will be positive. So in that case, both the charges will attract each other. So both the charges are going to attract each other with some kind of forces, and these forces are called as electrostatic forces. Let's suppose the distance between these two charges is r. Okay. Now in this particular case, the electrostatic force between the charges is given as 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 divided by distance square, and the distance is r square. F is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 by r square. So here force dimension we know, Q1 Q2 dimension we don't know, right? R dimension we know, and epsilon dimension we want to find out. So for Q1 Q2, I'll just tell you that current is defined as charge flowing per unit time. And the dimension of electric current we know, ampere. For charge we want to calculate. For time it is capital T. So the dimension for Q will be A into T. So now use these dimensions. Q dimension is AT. F dimension is, tell me, MLT minus 2. F dimension we know. R dimension, Dimension of R is L, so R square will be L square. Now, knowing all these dimensions, you have to find out the dimension of epsilon naught. So I guess now you can calculate the dimension of epsilon naught easily. Okay, so we are done with today's lecture, and in the next lecture we will be continuing with the dimension only, and there are some rules that govern the dimensional homogeneity rule, and we need to follow this dimensional homogeneity in any of the equation. The equation will only be correct if it is dimensionally correct. Okay, so these things we will be studying in the next lecture. Till then, just keep on studying. Okay, and thank you. Thanks for watching.